back to the District of the Unity podcast. I am sitting here with Mr. Brandon. We're going to talk about hyperfeminism and toxic masculinity. Please introduce yourself and where you're from and a little bit of your background before we jump into it for the people to know.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Brandon Collazo. I was born and raised in Rochester, and recently moved down here in March of 2021. So I've been here for like almost 2 years?
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
And this is Florida that we're in. Just to let y'all know, Central Florida, kind of a semi-rural, semi-suburbia type area, more farmland than anything else, so they're overbuilding, just like they do in every place else.
Oh yeah.
So, what is wrong with the world today when it comes to men versus women?
All right. Well, I'm gonna share a little bit about my background with that, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
So here's what's wrong. You got women that feel like they can do anything that a man can do.
Right.
And with that said, you know, when they hear so many stories or songs about men doing this with women and stuff like that, it kind of gets them to think, oh, you know what? I can do it too. So, you know, my experience with that is my parents, you know, they're married for, 20 plus years. And the moment that it fell was when we were searching for different churches.
Yep.
So we left our old church. That's where it all started.
Interesting.
So, from my perspective, I was one of the youngest children there. It was just me and my little sister, the youngest, and it should be over my grandma's and stuff like that. But me, I was at home, and it's because I felt like where I wanted to be and want to feel safe. So, I'm home and stuff like that, spending time with my parents and stuff like that, and there's like some point in times where they'll go inside their bedroom, they'll have conversations and stuff like that, and I don't know what exactly was said, but I heard the emotions coming from it. Right. I heard my dad, bawling out in tears, and my mom, they're both bawling out in tears. I'm hearing both, and I'm like, what's going on? Like I was in such a surreal state that I didn't know what was the cause of that at that moment. So, I was, I was just very hurt at the fact of what I came to find out during that time was that, when I went in there, they knew that I listened, my parents tell me, when life happens, there's going to be some things that are going to change.
Right.
And some things are not for the good.
Right.
And what I realize now is that it wasn't good to me, but it was good for me.
Right.
And my mom was the one that wanted to get the divorce of my dad. And we were thinking, okay, so this is new. And I'm like, okay, what could we do to fix it? So I just hugged my parents. I'm like, why is this happening? Growing up, my parents were like the power couple. They literally did co-parenting, everything. They literally had it down packed.
Right.
So with that said, you can see how I had a very amazing family foundation back then. But when the devil's lurking, and when he's knocking at the door, at your own door, personally, spiritually, are you going to open it? That's the question.
Right.
And that was the answer that I got from my mom.
So let me ask you, what old church did they come out of, and what new church did they come into?
So the old church that I left from was a born again.
Okay.
So like a Baptist, but it was more of evangelical.
Gotcha.
So it was like non-denominational wise.
Gotcha.
And what that said is that, you know, we believe in the fact about, you know, we took it serious when it came to the bread and the wine,
Right.
or the grape juice in that sense.
Right.
So, you know, I was raised into that. You know, I was raised to where to know Jesus, not just going to church.
Exactly.
So yeah, even though when I was little, I was, you know, there's some days where I didn't want to go, but I enjoyed it
Mm-hmm.
because I had family there that I grew up with. That, you know, they're part of my childhood.
Gotcha.
I had childhood best friends that are there, you know, that drifted apart before me.
Right.
So, you know, they chose it. They, you know, one of my friends has a family that was doing overseas missionary trips.
I got you.
So she would be like down there for months and stuff like that. You know, we were like best friends, so we grew up like siblings. But we drifted apart because, again, that missionary trip will get you away from the church and into a new life where you're gonna start to figure out about yourself.
Exactly.
So that's what happened. So the church that's the church where I left from. I had so much family there. Both pastors loved me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from there, but the reason why I left was because of the language barrier.
Gotcha.
It was bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
There's some very few people that will know how to translate word for word and made it easier.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's just translation that just lacked to grasp the full detail of what the person was saying.
Exactly.
So with that said, it kind of made it harder for me to grow my relationship with God.
Understood.
So I took that as like, okay, Lord, you know, it's time for a new chapter for me. So that's when me and my family, we agreed that we would move to a different church.
Mm-hmm.
And we was, you know, jumped through different churches and stuff like that until we finally found this one called Browncroft.
Okay.
Browncroft Community Church. And the church is amazing, I would say.
Okay.
It just, there's some things in there that kind of had me questioning the way how they run things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in the beginning, you know, the church was good and stuff, but I didn't feel like, I felt like an outsider there.
You never felt integrated into the church. Okay.
As if my old one, but my old one, I felt like I was drifting away too. So with that said, you can see where the
Mm-hmm. The dynamic is working,
So, you know, but I'm also making sure I'm doing what God has in store for me.
Absolutely.
So, you know, when I wasn't there, I was at home, you know, my playlist has nothing but Christian music, rap, Christian rap, all that, because I implemented that into my daily life.
Okay. You definitely practice what's being preached to you.
Yes.
And you study.
Yes.
And you apply it to your life. You're not just...
Yes, and the one thing that I would like to say about that is that I'm not perfect, you know. I don't read my Bible every day.
Right.
I admit that. But at the end of the day, that's all of us.
Right.
You know, that's all of us. And
we're human.
We're human, you know, but the beauty thing about it is that there's so many other ways where you can talk to God without the Bible.
Absolutely.
And not saying I'm not saying that the Bible's not needed. What I'm saying is that there's so many other ways where you can implement God into your life that can help transform you in a way where He can open your eyes and to where you're living that gospel. If you know where I'm going.
Exactly.
So, you know, with that said, you know, that came into play for me. And, you know, my dad was, so that's where it started. And, you know.
So do you relate just on a personal level, and then obviously we're going to branch out to a macro level, go from micro to macro. So do you believe that the hyper-feminism and toxic masculinity had something to do with that dynamic in your family, or do you see that as a larger problem that affected your family?
It was definitely a larger problem that affected my family. So felt like I feel like the toxic feminism part played as if it was active. It was a sinful act. And with that said, my mom I didn't realize at the time my mom was being selfish.
Interesting.
It was weird because the way she came off at me was like she was trying her best to figure out, a way of how she could save the marriage.
Right. Right.
And throughout that time you know, she lied to my dad about a lot of things during that time. You know, she's not perfect. And I don't think she was self-aware of what was going on, if you know what I mean. She wasn't acting herself.
Right.
So I just prayed for her, and unfortunately, the truth that I was praying for was a little more brutal than what I was expecting.
Yeah. I mean, life is not easy,
No.
folks. I mean, when stuff hits you, it hits you hard.
Yep.
So talk about your dad. Where do you think that kind of affected him? Was he overly masculine in a relationship, meaning like, how women always talk about toxic masculinity, like you have this role, I have this role, you stay in your lane and so forth. And I think that's what a lot of feminists talk about.
I can see where you're going with that, and I'm gonna explain to you. My dad's my hero, but he's not perfect either.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand where you come with this. My dad is an old school guy.
Right.
He was set in his old ways back then because he had a very rough upbringing.
Exactly.
Now, that rough upbringing kind of made some of his thought process catalyst. He catalyzed his thought process, if you know what I mean.
I know.
He became closed into like, all right, no, this is the way how it is. We got to do it this way. Then boom, 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 boom.
Hell, and I get accused of that. So
but a lot of that is where he makes sense about. But then there's just the way how he went about it. A lot of times was like, okay, that could have been done a lot more maturely, and because of the whatever we went through with that divorce, helped him open his eyes through that. So that's the beauty about it. Even though my mom chose that, but it happened for a reason.
Do you think ego got in the way of the masculinity part, or do you think it was just
no
historically?
And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no.
I'm gonna get into that. So during my dad, while he was having an emotional moment with my mom during that time, he brought out his humiliation side, and this is where he's very mature at, and this is where I learned how to do it. He admits every time when he's wrong. That's what I love about him.
Okay.
When he's wrong, he knows where he's wrong. Especially now, more than ever, God has changed him in ways where people won't even begin to fathom.
Right.
Yes, his name is Rich. So it would make sense at times where the way he went about things was like, all right, that, but it's because of the rough upbringing that he had. He did not have the great childhood that I had.
Right.
He blessed me with that. So with that said, my dad did have his flaws, but he was mainly my hero.
Okay.
So he did everything that he did. Everywhere that he went, he was where he was needed. Not where he wanted to go. He was where he was needed. If he wasn't at work, he was at home. If he wasn't at home, he was at church. If he was at church, he was at home.
Exactly.
Home, church, home, work, church, home, work, church.
Stand up.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's how my dad was. And yes, there's things where he was very impatient on, but after this situation with my mom and my dad, he grew so much more patience because in that time I was praying for both of them. And the craziest part is the way how my mother did it. See, my dad brought down his ego and all that. And all he was focusing on during that time was, how can I fix this? He brought up marriage counseling, something that I never thought he would bring up, because he mentioned like, yo, I don't want outside people know my business.
Right.
But he opened up to that because why he wants to save the marriage.
Exactly.
He did everything he could. He prayed to God. He talked to my mother. He was trying to figure out you know, because my mother was not communicating with him what he was doing was wrong or anything, in which she clearly said that she stated that it's not him. So if it's not him, it's
What
you.
is it? Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
See, that's where toxic feminist comes into play.
All right.
Where,
so explain it. I mean,
where you feel like, you feel like, okay, it's not you. If it's you, then why are you making it? Why are you trying to create this theatrical story of that you're innocent when you're not?
Exactly. And folks, just to let you know, I'm not trying to make a point of making an enemy with men and women. It's just his life story about certain dynamics that happen that we can apply to today. And hopefully, if you're in a situation like this, you can figure out, where you are, what your relationship is to God, and your relationship to family. And even if you're not, and I know this is going to go against some of what you are going to present, even if you're not Christian, you have to know there's balances and processes that take place in this world where you have to apply yourself in a certain way and realize, look, left doesn't go right, right doesn't go left. You know what I'm saying?
And that I can agree on with him. I'm just like, he knows where I stand at, but I also know that I have to be the bigger man and be the mature one to say not everyone's gonna believe in what I believe in, and that's okay. We just got to come to mutual understanding, like you said.
Exactly. So with your mom, what happened? What do you think happened? You kind of broke down very well. I mean, because I totally understand what your dad was going through.
Mm-hmm.
Get into your mom's head or vision. What you believe happened there?
Okay. So what happened there? I'm just gonna go about from my point of view. I can't think for her.
Right.
So I'm gonna go into the part where I figured out who it was. And this is where oh my gosh, the big questions. What do you mean by who? Who is this mysterious person that we're bringing up now? This is the person that she had an affair with. With my dad. From my dad.
Right.
My dad's a very peaceful guy. He said, as long as you get with somebody that I don't know, or somebody that that's not even not even a family or something, that's not part of, just basically some complete new guy.
Right.
That's okay. We want, but she left out details. She left out the truth part. And what it come to find out, I had this best friend, same age as me. He went to different school than me, but we also share similar friends that we're affiliated with.
Right.
Now, when we invited him into our family, I took him in as my brother. We had innocent, pure thoughts about this. My dad took him in as his son because his father was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my language and excuse the way, I don't mean to talk bad about anybody. I'm just pointing out for what it is, because of the fact that if you're not going to do the stuff that you need to do for your kid, then what kind of parent are you?
Absolutely. I agree.
And vice versa. If the kid's not being receptive of that, and also being mature enough to okay, Dad, show that respect for your parents as well, because it goes both ways. It's not one way or the other. It goes both ways.
Yep.
So his father wasn't the best dad, so my dad recognized that, and he treated him as if he was his own son. He helped him get his first car that he still drives today.
Wow.
He's still driving that car today. My dad helped him get that car.
Okay. Wow.
We took him down the trip down here to go visit my grandfather.
My grandfather was a World War II vet.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and we don't usually introduce new people to my grandfather.
Right.
Because, it's a family trip. Family gate. We're here to visit family.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, we did not only invite him there on family vacations, we even invited him to my sister's wedding.
So he was
He was a part of the family.
Yeah.
You know, and I treat him as a brother as such. Why? Because I'm a genuine person like that. And he, you know, that's just me. I'm a sociable guy, and if one of my friends and stuff, and he wasn't just a friend. I mean, hello, we had our parents knew each other as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, his mother had it's not my story to say. So his mother was, you know, battling cancer. General statement.
My goodness.
And she passed in 2020, I believe.
Oh wow.
Or
Yeah.
20, yeah. And after that is when things started coming to light. That's where a lot of things started coming to light.
Yeah.
There's more tension that was coming. There's more of the, you know, the way how my mom was. How do I say this?
The dynamic.
The dynamics started to shift. Yes, thank you.
Mm.
The way how they were starting to, you know, show a little more communication with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, you know, in my thoughts is like, all right, I used to lean up on my mom like that, so what if he's missing his mom for that, you know?
Right.
So I wouldn't think nothing of it because he's my brother.
Yeah.
Brother.
Right.
That's how I treated him. And the fact that it is that he used that. He used my kindness. He used my dad's kindness as a manipulative way to get to my mom. And this is just coming from my point of view because this is how I found out.
Right.
At first, this is what my mom told me about it.
Mm-hmm.
She comes to me, she picks me up from work. And I was working at Whiteman's up in Rochester. You know, so she's picked me up from work and she goes and tells me, hey son, you know, I just want to let you know that me and she made it sound like it was a new thing. Like it was something happened after the divorce.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
That's
Because you know why?
What?
This is what, from my point of view, you know, she told my dad that she fell out of love for him for a year and a half.
Okay.
So that kind of put two and two together, if you know where I'm going with this.
I know.
So that year and a half when you got, even before the divorce,
Yeah.
when you fell out of love for him, in that moment, that's when I put two and two together.
Right.
I'm not stupid.
Right.
You know, but I'm not going to say that in front of her.
Right,
Because first of all, that's her mess that she's got to deal with.
Exactly.
But the fact that is that she doesn't know how badly it affected us at first was what the shocking part was.
Right.
You know, and I'm pretty sure she did. It's just the way she showed it was as if it was something light.
Yeah.
So, again, my mom used my honest innocence as a way of making me even more dumb. I felt so dumb after when I heard it, you know.
Right.
I mean, and then he, I went, you know, at the time I didn't know that it was, I didn't put two together at first, you know, because I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, me and him were still hanging out then.
How was he acting? Was he acting like nothing happening, or did he?
He was very nervous about how I was gonna react.
Interesting.
So he picked me up and stuff, and we were about to go hang out, play some games, PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes and tells me, hey, you know, I just want to let you know, me and your mom. I go, yeah, I know. And at that time, I thought it was, you know, my mom didn't cheat on my dad, so I didn't know.
Right.
So I told him, listen, you ain't, number one rule, you're never going to be what you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then you're not, nah. I told him I only care about if my mom's happy.
Yeah.
That was my main thing. I didn't care about him.
Right.
You know, out of the not out of the spite of hatred. It was just out of the fact about listening.
Just the way it was
You're my
done.
best friend.
Yeah.
You see where that's going.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
see where that's going. I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
like a
no.
violation of trust.
It
man.
is that's violation of trust right there, man. And it's immorally wrong to do that.
Adultery.
It's not just adultery, man. It's just the fact about she's old enough to be your mom, dude.
I know what you're
That's
saying.
your best friend's mom.
Yeah.
Like, how would
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
you
saying.
know
man.
that? So it's morally wrong in so many ways, man. It broke bro code. It broke family code on top of that.
Yeah.
So later on, as I get to find out the truth,
Mm-hmm.
my dad at the time was very, you know, he loved my mom so much that I didn't tell him who she was with, because I know what happened. I know what would happen.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
You know, because my dad's an OG, and that was his love for the 20+ years.
Right.
So you can imagine
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
now after this he has to reset everything, and with that said, it puts a mental toll on you,
Understood.
especially when you're trying to go through the mix of the emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
So my dad was going through the motions at the time, and you know, and then on top of that, there's so much family drama on top of that.
Understood.
So there's family drama that we weren't even a part of, but we're up there, so we know.
Yeah.
And it's like it was so much weight on my dad alone,
Yeah.
and it was so much weight on me.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And this is where I'm gonna get to a little confession about myself when it comes to that. In that time of crisis, or that,
Mm-hmm.
there's a point where I was, you know, because the way my mom talked about my dad to me, it made it seem like, oh, you know, it's not so much of a cool thing to have my last name. You know, and I was going through that mixed emotion, trying to find myself. You see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you know, up there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm known for being my dad's son.
Right.
So I'm under his shadow when I'm up there.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but now I've come to learn that I'm accepting it, because me and my dad, nobody knows my dad the way I know him.
Right.
And I can say that I'm more proud of having my last name now than ever because of my dad.
All right. That's good. That's
So,
really
you
good.
know, but during that midst of emotions, you know, but I told my dad, you know, we had that heart to heart, and he understood. My dad, see that he let go of his old, you know, strict, abrupt ways, and he was just more of a gentle coach to me. And you know, we had that moment that we needed as father and son.
Would you think it was more of a release, like,
Yes.
what this burden is off of me now? I
Yes.
can be who I am.
Yes, and
Okay.
and what he told me is that son, the last name Collazo, it doesn't mean you're my son. It means you are you. You yourself. You create your last. You are Brandon Collazo. I'm only Rich Collazo. I'm only me.
Mm-hmm.
But you are so much better.
Mm-hmm.
You can do whatever you want to do, and I'm very proud of, with the fact about how you've been handling it, the way how you've been, you know, because I've been praying for him, and I communicate with him on it, you know. So he looked up to me in that.
Right.
So that is where I felt. That's where he started to help me understand my own value.
Exactly.
And it was just me and my dad. My older siblings, they had their, you know, my sister's married. She has her kids and stuff like that.
They
So
have
she has
their
her
own
own
life.
household.
Mm-hmm.
My brother's a lone wolf. He's at his own household. You know, my oldest brother. Well, my oldest brother's another conversation that we're gonna have.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you what.
And look, I appreciate
Toxic
this,
masculinity. Actually, you know what? That may have tie into it too, because
that happened right before.
Okay.
So that was one of the events that happened right before.
My goodness.
So you see, me and my pops, man, it's been punches after punches, man. We've been wrong with it.
So, let me ask you, how is your relationship with your mother now?
So now, my mom understands. My mom understands the fact about how I feel about the situation. And when I went up there to visit her recently,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she made sure that he wasn't there.
Wow.
And that shows a lot of that. And what my grandma came to tell me also was the fact about, you know, she told me how much she realized that she messed up. She has to live with that. And, you know, yeah, it means so much, but only actions can speak for that. And
Absolutely.
the actions are obviously not accurate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? That's my mom.
Yeah.
And I come to understand that I forgave her.
Yeah.
That's the number one way how you can defeat the enemy.
Yeah.
That's what
Forgiveness,
the enemy
yeah.
wants you to react in a way where you want to go and you know, go out and seek revenge for yourself and stuff. No, revenge is mine, says the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and that is where I prayed to forgive him.
So,
Prayed to forgive my mom.
absolutely.
So me and my mom, we have a very good relationship now, to where she understands where I'm at, I understand where she's at, and we not like a lot has changed within our relationship, but when it comes to the love and the love that I'm supposed to have for her as a son, let alone you know, what Christ has for her,
Uh-huh.
that has to come into play now.
Absolutely.
Because if it doesn't, then it'll just turn me into
yeah.
someone that I'm not.
Yeah, it'll eat away at you, and you.
Yep.
God knows what will happen, because it's like on that level when your soul drifts, it's going to find something to drift to. You know, if you don't forgive and you don't let go of certain things. You know.
And one thing that I had to learn throughout that time too is when you're caught in that lost, dark area in your life, you got to be willing to allow God to work with you in a way where only you can know, but also to where you have to lead your own heart. That's the biggest thing that I've got from it. If you just follow your heart can be deceived.
Absolutely.
If you follow your heart's gonna go wherever it chooses.
Absolutely.
But you got to be that lion in you. You got to bring out that lion in you where you got to say, all right, this, you know, you got to have a line somewhere.
Yes.
If you don't have a line somewhere, then that means there's something wrong.
Right.
You know, that means you're still figuring out life as it is. If you don't draw a line somewhere, especially when it comes to certain things, man, it'll tear you apart and turn you into something that you're not, as if what society's already turning into.
So speaking of society, what is going on in this world from what you can tell over the years, where the dynamic between men and women are flipping, like as in terms of the roles?
Oh, I got you. All right. So here's why I'm getting into this, man. All right. In the Bible, it describes about the end times. People are going to deny the truth. People don't want the truth anymore. People don't want to accept the reality for what it is anymore.
Right.
So this is where toxic masculinity and toxic feminism come into play.
Uh-huh.
You got women that think that they could do the same things that men can do. You got men that think that they're you know, they're the leaders, or they're the boss.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, they're not even at the leader mindset. They're more of like, oh yeah, no, you're doing it this way. You got to do it that way. No. It's it. And then you guys, those members, it's either my way or the highway. Same thing with the women. Because once they see that, they're like, oh yeah, no, I can do that same thing. Boom. No. See, now this is where it's going to become a very toxic, competitive relationship. And the thing is that you got so many women that think that they can do what men can do when, no.
and I'm not disregarding women. I'm just saying that there's things that women cannot do that men can do. Just like how men cannot do things that women can do. So you see how there is both sides of the spectrum here. There's men that think that they can do everything that a woman can do, but no, you cannot. God created women to for their hearts to be closest to Him.
Right.
We were created as the image of Him.
Right.
There's a difference, and when you see the way how women were created physically, it was God didn't say, oh, I'm gonna take a bone from below your hip. No, because they're not below you. The women are not meant to be below us, nor are they supposed to be above us. So we're gonna take off a piece of net or like a thing or shoulder or something. No, they did not. Why? Because they're not supposed to be above us either. We're not supposed to be above them, but they're not supposed to be above us. We're supposed to be right there with them.
Companions, yeah.
That's why He took out the rib. And in the beginning, it was Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Pay attention. Because, again, this is what society's coming to. They don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear this truth that we're saying. They don't.
Right.
They're deny everything that's happening, and what they don't understand is that normal will never come back either.
Right.
As you can see, when it comes to toxic masculinity, and not just that either, they're turning it into political wars with that.
Absolutely.
On top of that.
Absolutely.
So you're bringing toxic wars on top. You're bringing toxic battles into a bigger war than what it already has to be.
So where is all of this coming from? What dynamic is making us go against each other and us?
So where I come from, and this is what I'm getting to with my brother. My brother was gay for he chose when he was what? Probably. It was when he was young. I don't know the exact age of when he was that, but he chose a lifestyle which, hey, it's okay. And he came to me about it. He came to me and told me, hey, bro, I just want to let you know that I'm gay. And I just want to know what you thought about it. And this is the answer that I exactly told him. And if you don't believe me, ask him yourself. He told me this. I told him this. You're my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever lifestyle you choose, that's your choice.
Right.
I'm your brother. I'm going to love you no matter what. I'm going to be there for you no matter what.
Right.
At the end of the day, I'm going to love you the same.
Right.
Nothing has changed. And nothing did.
Okay.
From my part.
Okay.
But it did for him.
Uh-oh.
And this is where I'm getting to it. So, he had there's my father had rules. And the rules were, if you want to condone any, the house was touched by my pastor, if you know what I mean. So pastor came over and he blessed the house. So that rule was any, there's whatever, no sexual stuff is happening in our childhood home.
Right.
Out of the respect for that.
Right.
So everybody was online with it, and obviously my brother chose to be in his own. My other older brother chose to be in his own place and be alone with because him and my dad would clash heads, and because they're so much alike.
Right.
But my oldest brother, he's like, okay, cool, did that, and he did it underneath the table.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing stuff underneath the table that was not right, and my dad caught on to it, and again, my dad told him listen, you got to get your own place because you're 27 years old, you're in your mid 20s, you're still living with your parents, you don't have any bills, you don't have any responsibilities, you need to become your own man.
Right.
And that's what my dad was trying to push him at. Positive, reinforcement.
Yeah.
So he gave him a time where he was supposed to leave, and even if then, my dad would never kick him out,
Right.
Because that's his son.
Yeah.
My dad raised him as his own.
Right.
So he took it as oh no, if this happens, my dad's gonna kick me out.
Mm-hmm.
My dad never kicked him out.
Mm-hmm.
He had a boyfriend, or
Okay.
has a boyfriend,
Right.
and I have no problem with it as long as you don't interfere with trying to disrupt the family. You try to break the family, now we definitely got a problem.
Absolutely.
You so when my brother was about to leave, his boyfriend had said a lot of stuff, made verbal threats to my dad, my little sister, and my other older brother.
Okay.
So that kind of, but he didn't say anything about me because he knows me.
Right.
My dad brags about me to everyone, and I wish he didn't because but I love it, the fact that he takes pride in me.
Right.
He takes pride in the fact about, listen, my son is better than me. You can only that's a joy. It's not a pride thing. It's more of a selfless joy that he has in me.
Yeah.
So with that said, look, I don't even brag about myself. I don't, because it's not the right thing for me to do.
Right.
So, he knew about what I knew when it comes to physical combat.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't even think about threatening me, but he threatened my dad, getting his uncle on him. He threatened my little sister, getting his cousin on my little sister. What did my little sister do? My little sister didn't even do anything. My dad didn't even do anything wrong.
Right.
I'm like, yo. And then my brother's sitting there on the phone as he's saying this to my dad or something, and my brother's just allowing it to happen. He sat in the car with him right in front of our house as he's saying that.
Wow.
So with that said, this is where that toxic masculinity comes in.
Mm-hmm.
His boyfriend had that toxic masculinity trait to where he's trying to disrupt the family. And my brother, he's the woman in a relationship. Not downing him, not degrading him, just pointing out for what it is.
Right.
The way how he's responding is if he allows his boyfriend to take control of everything.
My goodness.
And he rarely talks to me now because of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. By the way, I texted him when I was up there visiting family, like, hey bro, I'm up here. I wanted to see you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I came up there for, to see family. I wanted to see you. He did not respond.
Because of the boyfriend.
Either that or something new, because it's something new to me.
Right.
So with that said, he's allowing his boyfriend to dictate and control on what he can or cannot do.
Wow.
So that is where toxic masculinity comes in play. With, oh yeah, no, you can do this, and then you got my brother thinking that he's a woman. Where I can multitask. When no, we're not that good at that. Women.
I know. I'm sure.
I ain't shoot. I go listen. I go to work. I come home. My lady has the house clean. I'm like, even I couldn't even do that. So that's where it say there's only so much that a man can do until you get a woman inside a house that makes it a home. And that is where the whole toxic masculinity, toxic family are disrupting the natural order of what a family is supposed to be.
There you go. So, in a lot of experiences that I've seen a lot of males become beta males, and not just in homosexual relationships, but in heterosexual relationships, where it's
You're
like
correct.
I'm seeing guys that they don't work with, they work for their woman in a lot of relationships.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen on the other end with the guy telling the woman what to do and all of this other stuff. Neither one of those are right. It shouldn't be somebody that's dominant to that point over a relationship, because we all are born with free will. We all have souls. We need to treat each other like,
brothers and sisters. As we should.
We should be our own keepers and so forth and so on. Part of what I've seen with women is this, and it's our fault. And if you guys watch the part one, the round one, I call it, to this, I really believe men cause the women to be this way, because with the false promises of them taking care of the woman, and they don't have to work, they don't have to do this, but then you're not being a good enough provider for them to stay home with that. You're not taking care of home when you're out there doing what you're doing. You got to be a man, and I'm not saying gender. You know what? I don't even want to do a precursor to it. You just need to be a man, period, and take care of what you have and stay where you are and do what you're supposed to do. I mean, I get tired of doing all of these damn precursors saying, like, you know, oh, I'm not trying to offend anyone. Well, fuck that. I'm trying to offend people here because it's like we're getting to the point where we're getting out of hand, where situations like he describes happens. And yes, everybody's going to make their decisions based off of what they feel. But I just kind of feel like the roles are getting flipped a little bit too much, where you have women that really think they're kings instead of queens. And what happens with that, they take too much control of the relationship, too much control of the house, just as a toxic masculinity man would do. But then you're not allowing somebody to breathe. Just like the women complain about not being able to breathe in a toxic masculinity relationship, therefore hyperfeminism takes over and says, well, I am woman, I am God, I am this. It's a natural order that takes place. I'm not saying you need to be subservient to a man. You need to assist. Just like with the guy, he needs to assist. He needs to provide. He needs to grow. He needs to be a man so the woman can be a woman. And if you don't allow that to happen, then you're going to have discord throughout a lot of family relationships. And how are you going to love somebody that's weak?
Amen to that. And I'm going to get into that right there. I'm going to get into a lot about what you just said there. So the first thing that came to my mind was when you said that the men are the ones that are allowing this to the women. It's also the women that are not being self-aware of that whole situation. They're accepting it.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways, man.
It does.
So this is where we're gonna get into this. They're putting male, transgender males.
Mm-hmm.
They're males. They have male parts. They're born a male. You put them in a woman sport. How is that not wrong? How is that? How can we say that that's normal when it's not? Oh, congratulations! The man just beat a woman. And then the woman of the year went to what was his name, or what was the female name? Kylie Jenner or something like that.
Oh, you talking about the
Caitlyn Jenner. Thank you. So I'm gonna say he, because he's a genetical male. He was announced Woman of the Year at some point. Am I correct?
Yes.
A man. Pay attention here. Please pay attention closely. A man winning an award that has to be about women. A woman. Is that not wrong to anybody anymore? Is that not wrong?
And you know,
it's so wrong. It's morally wrong. And then, not only that, pay attention to how the cross dressing is. That's been going on for years.
Absolutely.
If you ever seen through the Martin Lawrence show, Nanny McPhee with Robin Williams.
I almost completely forgot about Shanae and all of that.
Exactly.
Stuff, yeah.
So with that said, yes, the way how they were doing it was supposed to be innocently of humor and comedy. But if you get our young generation nowadays that will watch that, do you know how much of them will say, I could do that. I want to be like that. Really? Come on. Think about it.
And folks, I blame men for that. Because if that was your daughter that was in that pool swimming against that guy and that school allowed it, and one, you didn't pull her out of that school, or two, pull her out of that race. You know what I'm saying? And it's like everybody just disappeared.
And then another situation with that would be, how would you feel if your daughter at school allowed, and then the school allowed transgender bathrooms? All right. Now this is where it's getting real. How would you feel if your daughter went into the bathroom where guys are allowed as well? Anything can happen.
Absolutely.
And then they'll blame those individuals when, yes, it is the individuals that's making that choice, but who's making it legal? Pay attention to who's making it legal. And this is where people gotta understand: just because things are legal doesn't mean that it's right.
Yeah.
There's so many things that our government's making illegal that is good for us, and they're illegalizing it. Why? Because they don't want us. They want us to be asleep. They want us to not be awakened by the truth. They don't want us to hear the truth for how it is, because that's the truth. If you don't want to hear the truth for how it is, sorry, you can go somewhere else, because at the end of the day, we don't sugarcoat stuff in here. We don't.
See,
that's just how it is.
And see, all of this stuff has been. See, I could see somebody that's on the fence or on a side of not wanting to hear the truth, saying all of this stuff is about hate and all of this. It's not about hate. Look.
It's about the self-recognizing of one's own wrongdoings. And if the more you victimize yourself about things that you're doing, the more you're failing yourself. You're losing the battle with yourself. People think, oh yeah, no, we're going to war with this. We're going to war with this. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Our government wants that to happen. Our government wants division, not just through our domestic areas, but through internationally.
Absolutely.
So pay attention to that, people. Pay attention. Because if you do not take action within yourself, and that is how you make the world a better place. Isn't that what Michael Jackson said? If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself in the mirror, man.
And, you know, I'm going to close this subject on this. Basically, what and there may be a round 3 to it, because I think this may be an ongoing subject. And, hey, any woman that wants to come on and talk about it, bring it. Come on. I mean, this is a place of love. We're not here to conflict and fight and all of this other stuff.
See,
we're just bringing out points.
We're just bringing out the truth.
And the thing is, you have to understand, if that was your child in that situation, whether you're talking about marriage, whether you're talking about bathrooms, whether you're talking about sports, you know, do you really want your daughter going against a well-trained male athlete, you know, or even a transitioned male athlete that already biologically has all of the male skeletal, muscle definition, all of that. Genetics. I mean, we're dynamically made to go a little bit harder, a little bit faster, you know, and is that really fair to you to be able to sit over there and say, oh, well, as much as I trained with girls all my life, now this guy comes in and whoops all of us? That's, you know, are you going to get in a boxing ring with them? Are you going to get in the MMA with them? You know what I'm saying? It's not hate. It's like we're looking out for our women.
We're putting this out to everyone because we love you guys enough to where we want to tell you the truth. We're telling you the truth right now for what it is, and we just want you guys to please accept it as if like we're looking out for you. Because again, just because we're not friends or something, it doesn't mean I see you as an enemy.
Exactly.
It's not. Just because somebody else may lose me as a friend in the near future doesn't mean that's going to be my future enemy.
Exactly.
I still want to see them eat. I just don't want them at my table. That's just the way it is. And again, is that wrong? No. Why? Because I'm not wishing that someone to be dead. I'm not wishing anything to happen. I wish nothing but the best for that guy. I wish he could learn from it and actually become a better person from it. So with that said, we're not here to spread hate. We're not here to start an argument on the other side. We're here to make you guys aware about the truth, the honest truth about what's going on in our society, what's going on in our lives personally. So please take this message and apply it to yourself. Because if you do not, the government will do everything it can to make sure that you won't get that message.
That's why I named the channel District of Unity. The whole key is unity. Unity doesn't mean everybody's the same. Unity
Amen.
means that we all work together through our
Through
differences.
our differences within each other and how we come together. Like if you watch the new Ant-Man movie, Quantumania,
Okay.
you watched it?
I haven't watched it.
You ever
but I
watched
will.
it? I'm gonna do a little spoiler because this is what people need to understand about this. So the guy has his ant farm and stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
He's helped his ants because of how he shows respect for them and stuff. They're already learning. He's giving them the opportunity to learn about how to advance the technology, advance and all that. So you got these ants that are coming together, different sizes, different colors. You got red ants, you got black ants, you got those freaking fly ants, you got all those different kinds of ants that are working together. So what does that tell you? It doesn't matter how big, how small, or how big you. As long as we come together, because in new Ant-Man, they did came together when they shrunk down into that Quantumania. They had so much time on their hands because time is relevant and is not. Time doesn't exist in that realm. They advanced so fast, and they made sure they communicated with the guy that helped them, which is that old guy.
Okay.
And with that said, they came back and helped him.
Not to
They were
check that
smart
out.
enough to come back and help him. And you saw all different types of ants there. There's big, small, ones that fly. You got ones that created the technology of their own ant warships and stuff like that. Come on, that's how we should be as a society. Coming together and fighting those freaking superpowers that are trying to freaking demolish us.
Let me say this to men. You need to step up. You need to be men. And you need to start taking control of yourselves first and take back your family. Take back your responsibility. Apologize to these women that you completely screwed over for the past, I would say 100 years, but at least in the last 60 years. You know, from that civil rights era all the way up until now.
And here's the thing for me too. And if something happened in your past or something that happened in your family past that has nothing to do with you, don't allow that conviction to overcome you. Cause I was raised different. You know, I had a great childhood, but I was also raised to where in the sense that to be colorblind. And to be colorblind is this. I don't judge by a person by the color of their skin. I judge a person by their character. See, that's what I mean by colorblind. Always be colorblind. Because the best thing to do is to see someone through their character, not through their skin.
And to the ladies out there, look. I, as a man, apologize for anything that we've done to you over the years. However, when the correction happens, and it will, we are going to have to work in unison again and know what our roles actually are.
And the time to actually do that is right now when you have the chance, because time
immediately or
Yep.
even sooner.
Yep, because fortunately, women's got to understand that their role is just as much important, if not more important, than what because the men, we're out there, the structure of the home is this. The man is the head of the household. Doesn't mean that he's above the woman. It just means structure-wise, financial-wise, and stuff like that, he is the head of the household. Why? Because he's the provider. He is the protector. He is to make sure that there is running electricity in the house. To make sure that there's running water. To make sure that we have buying a TV or buying entertainment. To make sure that his family is has something to keep them busy when he's gone,
Right.
when he's out working.
Right.
And
But you men have to be strong enough to do that.
Exactly. You need to
Don't give the
take
woman the option of saying that you're not strong enough for me.
Be a lion. Be a lion. Do not have the humbleness of a lamb, but be a lion.
Absolutely.
Have that courage. Have that dignity to where you want to do it for not only for yourself. Do it for the one that's actually taking care of you right now, even though you don't know it.
So let me thank you, brother, for doing this one.
Yeah, no, of course, man,
And,
of course.
And I'm definitely gonna have Mr. Brandon back. And look, you guys take care. You guys like the video, comment, because we want to hear from you. And I'm sure there's gonna be some blowback, but we need to have the discussion.
But that's normal, right? What's normal is that we're gonna get backlash for this, and you know what? It's okay. Why? Because we knew what we knew that was gonna happen before we did this.
right?
But we did it anyway.
But we did it
because
anyway. Why?
we're
Because
men.
we're not here to argue.
Exactly.
You know, whatever those bad comments are on there, we'll tell them, hey, you know what? I respect the fact that you think about that way, but you know what? I will keep on praying for you. Why? Because that's what we need to do as a community. We need to do that as a society as a whole. No matter what state, no matter what state you're from, or country. Because I know there's people internationally that are good friends to us too.
Absolutely.
So with that said, you got these superpowers that are the elites that are taking over, and they're already going to be doing so much more worse. And we're going to get into that later on. We're going to get into that when I come back and stuff. But other than that, people, you gotta wake up, because I'm telling you, man, the political wars is affecting our personal lives, and it's only affecting our personal lives if you let it.
It's telling the truth, folks.
All that political noise is just noise. It's just background noise. Leave it in the background. That's their problem. That's their stress. Don't allow their stress to become your stress.
Absolutely.
Because us men and women in the society already have enough stress as it is, if you know what I mean. See, the political elites want you to focus on the political wars, yet they're really keeping you blind from what's really going on when it comes to financial status, when it comes to all that. They're gonna try to freaking separate us in many ways.
Absolutely.
We gotta be better than that. We gotta take a stand.
So sorry about my phone ringing in the background. But we will definitely catch you on the next video. Stay blessed, take care, like and comment, and we'll do it again. Until next time.
Until next time.